Oh, the sweet irony of covering some of the same bosses for the third time, but fret not. The Metroids are different in comparison to Metroid 2 Return of Samus and AM2R, as they have been changed up for the official remakes. So, let us go through and break down the bosses in Samus Returns. Welcome to Samus Returns Boss Breakdown. Alpha Metroid! The first encounter with the Alpha Metroid, have you watched the Lava Metroid turning brown, only to instantly evolve into the Alpha Metroid. A bit silly if you ask me, because the older game set it up like it had happened over time, taking its time to undergo its metamorphosis, not instantly like in Samus Return. So the Alpha Metroid looks more like a bug, and closer to the original art of the Alpha Metroids from Metroid 2 Return of Samus. Their attacks have changed slightly as well. They now swirl around up high, only to attack you by swooping down towards you, in which you can counter them. I never succeeded to do this against a single Metroid, but it's possible in all forms. They also drop small electrical balls that damage you if you get hurt by them. Later encounter will have the charge attack be electrified, but you can use the ice beam to freeze the nucleus on the Metroid forms to prevent them from using the electrical barrier in order to counter them. All Metroid form become slower when their nucleus has been frozen, with the exception of the larvas, which are completely frozen. You can encounter the Alpha Metroids in the heated areas as well, and they will be on fire in these areas. You still attack the Alpha Metroid by firing missiles at the membrane to damage it, but they also take damage from the ice beam, just to make less damage than the missiles. They have their own unique battle theme, but in the heated rooms Lower Norfair will play over it. A little bit tougher than their original counterpart, and more difficult if you, just like me, are bad at countering strike. Arachnus! Yet again, Arachnus sees itself changing. 4 different games, and not one fight is the same as the other. There is no surprise factor in this fight if you don't count that the Arachnus is lying as the power-up, instead of the original's orb surprise. Shoot it, and it will wake up and destroy the entire Chosa statue, as well as the ground below it. Yikes! It will attack you by shooting crescent-shaped shockwaves towards you, or well, clapping them towards you. Talk about clapping it forward! It will also spin dash towards you, believing it's Sonic, as well as jumping in its ball form. It can also shoot a fireball towards you that burns the ground for about 1 second. It can slam dunk the ground, creating a shockwave on the ground that damages you if it hits you. While in the ball form, you can knock it down by using Morphball bombs, which will stun it for a short while. This is a nice nod to the original boss fight against it, which was the only way of hurting it. Just blast it with missiles and ice beam shots, and eventually it will die, but don't get hit because it hits like a truck. They remixed this theme from Metroid Fusion and used it for this battle. They definitely made this boss fight more interesting this time around, and it gives you a nice challenge that is enjoyable to participate in. Gamma Metroid! Normally you would have gotten to see the metamorphosis taking place in the air, but this time Samus finds the shredded skin on the ground with the Gamma Metroid rushing in from the side. The Gamma Metroid has been changed drastically and now resembles a spider or an ant instead of what the original skull-shaped debacle went with. They now spit electricity in a static beam instead of a moving one. It can still do the electrified charge of the Alpha Metroid, but it looks more like a missile and it hits like one too. When the nucleus is frozen, it will fall to the ground and be stunned for a few seconds, in which you can deal a lot of damage towards it. While frozen and forced on the ground, it can charge towards you. When the nucleus is unfrozen and is grounded, it can electrify the entire ground, as well as shooting the electrical beam straight forward. It can also create an electrical explosion that damages you if you are hit by the circular force. Just like the Alpha, it can drop electrical orbs while airborne. There are a fire variant of the Gamma Metroid as well. In later sections of the game, they also have the option to escape into 2 other battle arenas using hatches, which make them rather annoying to fight, and trust me, when presented the opportunity, they will escape. While they do damage you quite a lot by getting hit by them, they aren't super difficult once you get the hang on it. They are annoying when they escape away though. Just like the Alpha Metroids, the Gamma Metroids have a battle theme of their own. Zeta Metroid! You enter a room and Samus rushes in to find the shredded off Gamma skin. Just like the Xenomorph from Alien, you get to see drool dripping from above as a tail comes down behind Samus. Then, the Zeta Metroid jumps down behind her and crouches only to look up after the membranes glowing from its inside, and as it sees Samus, it growls towards her. No longer able to fly, the Zeta Metroid looks like a Xenomorph from the Alien franchise more than ever before. They can now breathe fire, charge towards you, crawl up on walls, shoot green projectiles, crawl on ceilings and spit out fireballs that cover the room. They are the easiest to hit while on the ground shooting the green projectile towards you. They are fast, agile and hit like a beast, but they are a lot more fun to fight against than ever before. They can take damage by having their head getting hit, so they have received a new vulnerability spot as well. After taking enough damage, they will spit out green orbs that move slower but bounces off everything they touch. It can be a challenge to avoid these orbs, but the Spider Ball is a huge help. Keep on attacking it and the Zeta Metroid will die without too much trouble. They have their own battle theme as well, and they are so much more fun to fight in Samus Return than they are in any other Metroid game the Zeta Metroids have been in. So, a great step up from its original counterpart. Omega Metroid! Oh boy! As Samus runs into the room, she suddenly stops when she hears the roar of the beast. The camera pans to the remains of the Zeta skin as the ground shakes when the Omega Metroid pops in from the back. While the Omega Metroid has its membrane exposed, it quickly grows protective skin over it. The Omega Metroid can breathe fire as well, but it does so in a laser type fashion that reaches the end of the room. The Omega is a hulking menace that will walk towards Samus, ready to strike at any second. It can make rock falls from the ceiling when it slams its giant tail on the ground. Hey, wait a minute! Now would you look at that! The Omega Metroid has a tail that is not cut off this time around, like every other Omega Metroid. Improvements! Anyhow, the rocks can be destroyed for pickups. The Omega Metroid can also leap towards you, and when it does, this is the only way to avoid taking damage is to run back or go below it. Your first goal in this battle is to destroy the skin, and that is the most challenging the first time you fight the Omega Metroid. Why the first, you wonder? Because when you counter the other Omega Metroids, you will have the power bombs from the next boss on the list that takes off the skin in one explosion. After destroying the skin, you get missiles and health pickups to recover, and now you can start dealing damage to the Omega Metroid. While up close, the Omega Metroid can bite with its huge fangs as well. It can also strike with its tails, as well as following up with either one or two combo attacks. It can also shoot its fire laser and move it from the ground up from the ceiling to the ground. Difficult to avoid, but can be done with the help of the Spider Ball. After a while, the skin will regrow again, which is annoying. You are likely to die several times against the Omega Metroid, but it's a fun and challenging fight. It will leave a lasting impression on you. The Omega Metroid has its own battle theme as well. Digger now! So, here we are at the first and to be fair only new and unique boss fight to this game. And I must say it was produced with love because they did the most with this one. So this boss fight has some amazing build up to it, and a lot of Metroid games has at least one of these bosses, and Samus Returns is no exception. So it all begins in Area 3, where you awaken this giant robot by using the grapple beam on its eye and power source to clear away the debris blocking the path. It awakens and stares down Samus, which aims at it before simply walking away. Next time you run into it, it's in Area 4, where you first find a broken Chosen statue with a missing power-up, after hearing an earthquake first. You then jump down to the next floor. As Samus lands, she hears the hulking menace walking and looking upon Samus, which responds by charging up her beam weapon. The robot sees this as a threat and instantly attacks Samus with one of its giant drills, which Samus tries to destroy by shooting at it. This is where the chase begins. We have to run through 3 floors of the cave, being chased by the huge drills while navigating the tight corridors and destroying enemies. Getting hit by the drill results in instant death. Finally reaching a small section at the dead end, which Samus hides in from the drill. The Diggernaut, as the robot is called, pulls back the drill and takes a peek to see if Samus is there. It then spit out a lot of rock and a power-up it had swallowed from the earlier Chosen statue, while shrieking angrily in Robotica. Next time you see a Diggernaut, it swallows up another power-up, but then you just keep on moving and finally you have enough. And next and final time is the end of the build-up for the amazing boss fight. If this would have been Other M, the boss fight wouldn't exist, but this is Samus Returns, and so we get one glorious boss fight against Diggernaut. As Samus enters the boss room, a door in the background opens and some smaller robots run through. Behind it, the Diggernaut awaits to make its entrance. It walks towards Samus and looks at her, and we get to see it from its point of view as it gazes upon Samus. Then it walks towards her and reveals the drill's weak spot right off the bat. Way to go, genius robot! The drills activate and the boss fight begins. So, Diggernaut is more of a puzzle fight, even if it does have some action in it as well. The Diggernaut has 3 phases, and let us begin with phase 1. In phase 1, it will attack with its drills and move the upper one in a wavy pattern, with the below one in a straight line until it reaches the other end, in which it goes straight up to repeat the same pattern on the way back, and then one more time. Then the drills activate again and go straight forward in the middle, then each drill go to each wall, avoiding them by staying above them as the drills goes back to the middle. Next, it puts its head up front and attack with 2 straight laser beams as the head spins clockwise, moving the lasers around. This is your chance to blast it until it gets stunned. As it's stunned, the drills are locked in place, but the section on it spins around, revealing spider tracks with them. Go up on the side and down to the orb and plant a Morpho Bomb to destroy one of the drills. Be too slow when the Diggernaut awakes, and move too slowly and you will take damage while climbing the drill. Once you have damaged one drill, the Diggernaut will get hurt and slam both drills onto the ceiling, starting phase 2. Purple orbs will fall down that can be destroyed for health and missiles. At the same time, the Diggernaut will shoot at you with laser beams in which it aims using a crosshair. Once this is done, its vacuum will start moving from side to side. Now, you're supposed to drop Morpho Bombs onto the ground, which the Diggernaut sucks up to damage it. If you were to be sucked up, you enter its crushing core and it deals a lot of damage to you. Now, you can use the Spider Ball to be completely immune to the vacuum, but I never figured that out, but do know that it's the safest strategy. Otherwise, be quick into Morph Ball to lay 3 bombs, then quick out to get above and rinse repeat. If you don't plant bombs, it's fine because it will pop out its head again to spin around the laser beams, but this time 3 lasers will be active. Planting Morph Ball bombs speed up this phase, making it faster. If you don't manage to destroy it, the attacks from the purple bubbles will repeat itself. Once destroyed, it's time to climb the second drill, and it's the same as the first, just a little bit faster. When the second drill has been destroyed, phase 3 begins. Diggernaut will smash both his drills onto the ground, creating an earthquake, and it begins from the middle, then move the drills away from each other while still slamming them onto the ground. It does this 3 times. Then it activates laser beams on all sides, which is slowly moving towards the middle, so jump out from the middle to avoid them. Next pattern is to move up 4 of the lasers to the ceiling while keeping the other 4 grounded, moving them to the sides. Jump through the middle to avoid them. Next pattern is the same as the first, but with the top laser still staying there, which all of them going for the middle again. Then it's back to the vacuum, and you know what to do with the Morph Ball bombs at this point. It gets stunned, and you can now Spider Ball its head, which moves around to sliders. One clockwise and the other counterclockwise. Now you want to Morph Ball bombs the 3 glowing spots, without getting killed by electrical current the Juggernaut will use on its head as it moves its sliders. Destroy the 3 dots in time and you will have finally stopped Juggernaut once and for all, as it blows up. Oh wait, it never mind. This boss fight is a lot of fun, and figuring it out is half the enjoyment of it. The best part is finally getting your revenge against it, and the boss theme is really nice to listen to as well. This is my second favorite boss fight of the game. Metroids! Just like the original game, you see the last Metroid egg above you in a closed-off chamber, but this time around, the new Metroid reveal is not until you enter the room 2 rooms over. This time, the Metroid counter count to 10 freshly hatched larva Metroids. They work slightly different in this game. Freezing them only have them stay frozen for 1 missile, and if they latch onto you, you will have to have your energy quickly drained. Same as always, get yourself free using Morphol bombs. They still require 5 missiles or 1 super missile kill. Using power bombs against them will give you energy and missile refills, but won't kill them. The Metroid doesn't have the same scary theme as they did in the original, but a remix of Torian, so it's a nod to the original Metroid for the NES, which is a nice touch. Just kill them and get ready for the next challenge, which will make a giant roar as you enter the room before it. Metroid Queen! Just let me start this up by saying that I absolutely love the Queen Metroid boss fight in the original and her battle theme. While sadly we didn't get a remix of that, we got a new amazing theme instead, and on top of that, an amazing enjoyable boss fight that not only is challenging, but difficult as well. Here we have the new and improved Metroid Queen. So, you jump down only to stand face to face with the Metroid Queen herself. Or well, she faces you while you have your back turned. You get to see all the hatched eggs as Samus turns around to face the Metroid Queen. She growls at Samus and the battle against the biggest and toughest Metroid of them all begins. Only way to hurt the Queen is by shooting inside her mouth. She will begin the battle by slamming her head onto the ground. She can attack using a fire beam that sets everything it touches on fire. She can either burn the ground, ceiling or wall behind you, if not all 3. Best survival bet here is to use the Spider Ball. She can also attack by biting. When her eyes turn green, she spit out green moving acid bubbles. Again, Spider Ball is your best bet to avoid them. When she has a pink aura around her, she's charging up a charge attack. If you hit her and stun her before this attack, you get energy and weapon refills. In fact, she can also sometimes get stunned while using her fire beam attack, and this is the perfect opportunity to attack her as she leaves her mouth open. While spider balling, she will slam her head to make sure you lose your grip, so be aware of that. While taking enough damage, she will burn the wall behind you, then create huge gusts from her mouth in order to try pushing you towards the wall. Again, use spider ball here, but keep moving left to avoid getting blown into the burning wall. Eventually, all she will do is spit out the green acid bubbles while burning the ground, ceiling and or wall in order for you to die. Eventually, after unleashing everything you got against her, she will die and it's time to become the baby Metroid's mama. While this is not the most complex of boss fights, it's still my favorite because of the fact it's difficult and the sheer satisfaction you get for killing her. Plus, her battle theme is incredibly menacing this time around, even if I do prefer the original theme, as that was more befitting a queen. This is why this is my favorite boss fight in the game. Funny enough, you can grab the baby Metroid wherever on the planet you go, but eventually as you get back to the surface, a storm is brewing, while a remix of Silent Sabbath from Super Metroid is playing. And as you reach your ship, something terrifying happens. You are at the cliff above your ship, looking down upon it with the Metroid. Samus activates it, and the baby Metroid flies ahead for it. As it arrives, he arrives. Proteus Ridley. Proteus Ridley flies in and grabs the baby Metroid, and the battle begins. You damage Proteus Ridley by shooting him in the face. Proteus Ridley attacks by breathing multiple firebolts towards you, trying to stop you on the ground and stab you with his tail. Avoid his attacks the best you can, while blasting him with as much beam weapons and missiles as you can, and eventually the first cutscene will trigger as the baby Metroid gets free. Ridley wakes back up and the battle continues. Now Proteus Ridley will attack by shooting a beam similar to that of Mother Brain from Zero Mission. He can also swipe towards you with his claws, up to 3 times in fact. Proteus Ridley can also take to the sky, where he will drag his tail as he charges towards you, easily avoided by going above him. He can also still grab you with his tail, but it gets stuck in the ground and creates a rollout effect on the ground as the earth shatters. Damage him enough and a second cutscene plays out. Now, Proteus Ridley will charge up his claws and swipe even stronger slashes towards you. He can now also shoot a firebolt towards the ground that also burns the surrounding area around the impact. In the air, he can also charge up a dash, and that can easily be avoided if prepared, otherwise grab you by surprise. Again, attack him enough and yet another cutscene plays out. Rinse and repeat until the final cutscene plays, where Proteus Ridley is defeated, but not killed as he flies away after the end credits. But we do see one of the frog-like enemies biting onto his claws before being lured away, only to be consumed by a lurking X-parasite. The real threat of the galaxy has been awakened, and connection to Metroid Fusion has been made. So, while I was accidentally spoiled about Ridley's appearance in this game, I don't think my experience would be any different with it. It's a fun boss fight with a great iconic battle theme. It's just a little bit on the easy side, especially if you have 100%, where I was kind of hoping for a much harder fight, like they had done in Zero Mission and other MMO games. Ridley is always a blast to fight against though. That's it. All the 2D Metroid games and their bosses have been covered. Have you played Samus Return, and what was your favorite boss fight in the game? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. Now, the real question is, did you watch this video while it was a secret, or after the fact it was published? Only a comment will tell. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy this boss breakdown, and I will see you in my next video. Have a great day, everyone. Hello everybody, thank you very much for watching this boss breakdown. A special thanks to my 2 Patreon supporters, Patrick Peterson and Hikikomori Media. So, I hope you enjoyed this boss breakdown, and I hope to see you next video. If you want to subscribe, press over here, like the frog symbol. Otherwise, check out other videos here, or master playlist down here. Take care everybody, have a great day.